You guys seemed like you had it rolling before the Washington State game. Do you think a win would kind of put that game, I guess, in a different light than the way it ended?
That's hard. Obviously when it's a rivalry game, those kind of last a year, right? Until you get to play them again. But we had been playing really good football up until that point. It strung some wins together against some good football teams, and then really played pretty good for 3 quarters. We just had a meltdown there in the 4th quarter. So, the one thing for us and for our kids, and 1 quarter, 1 game's not going to define our season, and whether it be a loss or a win, it's the overall body of work. And this would be great for us to cap off this season to get our 8th win against a very good Boise State team. An 8th win for the first time in our tenure in the 4 years we've been here. Finish this season off on a high note, finish off this senior's career on a high note, and really kickstart us into 2013, which we think has a chance to be a special season with the amount of returners coming back for us. So for all of the right reasons, we want to win the game. Could it lessen the sting a bit by winning this ball game? Sure, from the Washington State game.
Do you think that game, particularly that quarter, kind of refocused your guys for this game?
I don't know if we lost focus, quite honestly. We things didn't go our way a lot in that game, and whatever could have went wrong. I don't think it's that we weren't focused or we didn't practice hard or weren't ready to play. We just, when you turn the ball over once in the 4th quarter and then once in overtime, when you miss a 35-yard field goal, and when you commit 7 penalties on defense in 1 quarter, that's how you blow an 18-point lead. And I don't think it was for lack of focus and preparation. I thought our guys were fired up, ready to play. We just played a bad quarter, and Washington State capitalized on it.
If you beat Boise, do you think that changes sort of the feeling of the season in your fans' eyes? Maybe it did finish pretty strong after all.
Well, there's a lot to be proud of in this season. We knocked off 2 top 10 ranked teams in Stanford and Oregon State. We played an extremely challenging schedule. I thought we showed a great deal of resolve for our guys of the way the season started, and then to watch our young players mature and grow and get better as the season went on. There's a lot to be proud of. And so, like I said, 1 game doesn't define a season, and it's always you always like to beat your rivals, but it didn't happen this year.
When you step back and look at Keith's season as a whole, how would you sum up everything that he went through?
Well, I think he's dealt with a great deal of adversity, initially with the personnel that was lost around him, to maybe not playing the way he would have liked to have played, and then to respond and be the leader that he was. That being said, I think there are some real key areas that we can improve upon with Keith for next season, as well as what we can do as an offense to improve upon to make 2013 a really special senior season for him.
He said he thinks he learned a pretty good lesson about how people respond to you when you're not having success, something that he had always had in athletics really prior to some points of this year.
Sure.
Did you talk with him about that?
Yeah,
what would you say about that?
Just that, at the end of the day, he chose to play quarterback. I chose to be a head coach. And when you choose those types of positions, you accept the successes in moderation and with humility, and you accept the failures and defeats with moderation and with humility. And when you can do that and not maybe get too high when things are great, not get too low when things are down, some of the noise around you quiets down, because you don't see it. You don't hear all the greatest things all the time. You don't hear all the worst things all the time. And you can stay focused within yourself and what it's going to take the next week and the next week and the next week, and then ultimately into the next season. And I think Keith has responded really well to it. It's been a challenging year, I think, for him and for us. But at the end of the day, I'm confident he's going to go out and play a really good football game on Saturday against a very good Boise State team, cap off the season with a pretty respectable season-wise, number-wise, when you start comparing to what he's been able to accomplish, and then set himself up, like I said, for a nice finale in his senior year in 2013.
Did you think the level of criticism was unfounded or extreme?
I don't know to exact what level that it was. What I do know is, like I said, when you choose to play quarterback, you probably get too much credit when things are good, and you probably get too much blame when things aren't good, and that just comes with the position.
Has he ever, do you think, lost confidence in himself at all through any of this?
I don't know if he lost confidence. I think it's wavered. I think you look yourself in the mirror a bit more and question, maybe the way you're playing or the way you're doing things or whatever that may be. But he's an awesome kid, and like I said, never once to you guys or to me did he ever point the finger or blame anything else. It was about him having to get better and work harder, and that's a sign of a great leader.
Is there a danger that you can overdo that, the self, looking at yourself too much and too much self-blame?
I think you could beat yourself up too much, yeah. And I think that one of the keys for Keith is to remain confident in himself first, and remain confident in his teammates and coaches and in the system that we have in place, that it's good enough to win, and he's good enough to win. We just had a different football team this year, and one that relied on our defense, and our defense played good, and that changed a bit of the way we played, which is okay, which is what the ultimate goal was, this whole process of transforming our football team. And we made the changes we thought were necessary to make after last year's season, and I sure hope we can win this ball game. I'd much rather walk out of Sam Boyd Stadium Saturday with a 13-10 win than I did at the Alamo Bowl last year, losing 67-56. So the ultimate goal is to win, and this is the ultimate team game, and Keith understands that.
Is there a way to prepare for their trick plays and all of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to expose your guys to them. You have to try to show them to them. You can't show them everything, but you try to show it to them. You try to give them a sense of when they might occur. You try to give them a sense of maybe who the main guys that run their trick plays. All of those tips and reminders that hopefully on game day, can show up. And but they do put a lot of strain on you mentally to recognize the trick play and then ultimately defend it.
You guys have been to bowl games 3 years in a row now. It seems like kind of a big accomplishment from where the program was maybe before you got there. Is that something that you guys kind of are proud of and kind of hanging your hat on?
We're extremely proud of. We hadn't. This program hadn't been to a bowl game in quite some time, and from where we began to where we are today, we're very proud to go to our third consecutive bowl game. I sometimes reflect back on our tenure here, and I kicked myself a little bit the first year. We probably should have went to a bowl game that year too, but we made some mistakes late in ball games on the road that ultimately cost us that opportunity. But for us to have won the Holiday Bowl 2 years ago, competed at a very high level against Baylor and RG3 last year in the Alamo Bowl, and now to represent our conference in the Vegas Bowl against Boise State, I think is something that our entire football team should be proud of, especially our veterans, our seniors.